So I wanted to do a video to show you guys how my system works with respect to providing nectar to pollinators in late spring. So I'm going to take you on a tour of all the flowers that start coming out this time of the year. All the fruit tree flowers are completely gone. So what crops are going to provide the nectar later into the season? Well, this is one of them. This is Georgia collard. And I'm actually, you probably can't tell, but I'm filming upwards because it is about 2 feet above my head. This particular stem way up there I can't reach goes about 2 feet above my head. So I'm going to get a lot of seed from this guy, and that's what I'm growing them for. I want boatloads of seed because I want to put Georgia collard everywhere. And you can probably tell how I opened the video. You could see if you look closely, the pollinators absolutely love it. And there's a good one. Oh, I scared him. I don't want to get stung. Anyhow, this is the Georgia collard, and just for full transparency, you can see there, I'm going to harvest a lot of these leaves down here. This is why I don't grow food for market, because of this right here. I will eat this just fine, but your uninformed and picky consumer won't. So, and I don't blame them. I probably wouldn't eat it either if I was paying for it, but if you're growing it yourself, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this, actually. And there's some research that shows that whenever plants get munched on like this, the nutrient count, the vitamins and minerals within them actually increases. But I'm not going to try to cite that study. I just read it once. You can double check me if you feel like. But yeah, you can see the pollinators going crazy. So that's one flower. Let me take you to the next one. Now I'm going to show this several times. That flower there is wild onion, native wild onion, not domestic onion that went feral. I have shown this in several videos. This is the wild onion right here. It's absolutely delicious if you smoke meats and sorry, a little Zuckerberg reference.
Smoking meat.
But if you do a lot of grilling or barbecuing, it's absolutely delicious in your recipes. I highly advise it. Or salsa. It's better than regular onion, in my opinion. So yeah, those flowers start to come out this time of the year. The garlic starts to flower this time of the year. You actually can cut off these bulbs before they open and cook with them and eat them, and they are absolutely delicious. It's a garlic flavor, of course, but it's not nearly as strong as the garlic bulb. So the thyme starts to flower, and I've noticed that as far as domestic crops go, pollinators love it. So I'll have to take you to some different parts of the yard, but this little ground cover you see here is wild strawberry, and it does flower this time of the year. It starts flowering a little bit earlier, but it does flower this time of the year. And this right here is, I believe, a native geranium. And it flowers this time of the year. I'll have to look around to find flower because those flower a little bit earlier than right now. This is an exquisite example of wild onion. I've noticed that these flies are what seems to want to pollinate it. Here's a good example of the wild strawberry flower right there. Some of the more shaded areas are a little bit behind in the season. And yes, I do have strawberries, so something's pollinating it. And blackberry flower. The native blackberry seems to be pretty much done flowering for the season, but the thornless blackberry is still going strong. Now here soon, won't be long, I'm going to have thistle flowers for the pollinators to go after. And all over my property. I've featured this in other videos. An extremely delicious wild edible wood sorrel. Come on, focus for me. Little yellow flowers that taste like lemon. Delicious. I had a short that I made. I may put it into a long form that showed the wine cup, and it started flowering 2 weeks ago, and it's going to go strong for quite some time. It's a native wildflower. And there's another thistle that's going to be coming out soon. What's that? It's a beautiful song. Okay. If you hear me sniffling, my allergies are going crazy for some reason. Not that you care. Okay, so I was out looking earlier today. I don't know if I'll find it again, but this is Turk's cap. Here soon it will start to flower and provide nectar, and the echinacea will start to flower. I've got one already, a bud. I was going to try to show you if I could find it, but I don't think I'm going to find it right now. I'll just wait till it blooms. It's much prettier anyway. More wild onion. Numerous native wildflowers that I have yet to identify, or I've identified them and I just didn't memorize it. I have a database that I keep of every identified plant that's useful or edible in some way on the property. Here we go. Some more thornless blackberry flowers providing nectar. They're quite beautiful too, actually. So it would take you to the native blackberry, and it's already done for the season. I don't know if I'll get blackberries. I just planted this last year. Yeah, see? It's already, that little red, it's already getting too dry. But once it gets established, I'll have plenty of blackberries. Oh, here's a nice example. More blackberry flower. And it really is kind of all over the place. And of course, I still have the roses coming out. Now, why do I have roses? Well, as a nursery, it does provide food for pollinators. That's one. Two, you cut those flowers and they survive because they're cut flowers. And you can sell them, make a little money. But also, if you get the right variety, they'll provide you rose hips. So they do provide food. Here's a nice example of a blackberry flower. Maybe I'll make this my thumbnail, scoot it off to the side. And it should be said, comfrey provides flowers this time of the year. And yes, the pollinators actually do go after it. And they are kind of pretty, I think. Let's see if we can get it to focus. Now, it hasn't started to flower yet, but when they do, I'll show them. Sunflower, native sunflower, and I have it all over the place. Okay, you see, there's another patch all through here. And I have it all over the place. And I've shown this in earlier videos, but the honeysuckle, the coral honeysuckle, does continue to flower into the late spring. It'll continue to flower for a good part of the summer, if not the whole summer. And there's no flowers on them right now, but the tomato do flower. Something pollinates it. And one of the few survivors of my cut flower, or my flower bed attempt from long ago, the Dianthus is flowering. It's just exquisitely beautiful. I'm shading it out, you doofus. All right. And as promised, show you that I am still getting roses. See? Sunflower everywhere. It's everywhere. I wanted to show you the broadleaf dock, one of the many patches of broadleaf dock that I have. It's starting to go to seed, which provides flowers, and some kind of pollinator does like it. And I've got huge patches of wood sorrel, just mixed all over the yard. It's all up in here. Just huge amounts of salad, basically. And we'll end here. I got some roses that I could never figure out where to put them, and basically just planted them like this. The bottom in the pot's been knocked out so it can grow into the ground. I'll figure out what to do with them one day, but they're nice and beautiful. Yellow roses and some pinkish peach colored ones. You know, I've mentioned before you should have single petaled roses, and maybe they're not as pretty, but also semi-double petaled might be okay. And I'll take you and show you one other important flower for the cross timbers. And yes, an extremely important flower for this ecosystem, the prickly pear flower. This particular prickly pear is a cultivated variety. Well, look at that bee, he's just swimming. It's a cultivated variety of prickly pear, but I have the phenotype that's native to this area in other locations of my yard. I actually need to transplant because those locations are no longer optimal. As I mentioned, I do have some wildflowers occurring in some of the more sunny spots of the yard, and I've probably identified them and just right now can't remember. I'll try to annotate if I can get around to it. And I've identified this guy. No flowers, it just got done flowering and it's producing its seed, but it's an important flower for this area for pollinators. One thing I want to mention, this here is a stargazer lily. Now, they grew extremely well, but they need a good amount of sun. So if you're into flowers, these I would recommend as far as a cut flower crop. And I've potted them up because these are the last ones that I had that lived. I had like 20 of them growing, and I just didn't get off my butt and get them out of the shade because the trees grew up around them and shaded them out, and I just didn't get there in time. So this is all I have left, so hopefully I can propagate from here. I think we'll finish here with the future flower that provides sustainable nectar to the pollinators throughout the season, reliable, the epic sunflower that we're going to have all over the yard.